Welcome back. As I told you before, we are going to do a spot check on the hospitality industry. We just watched a beautiful story there by Irene Muchuma and the wildebeest migration in Masai Mara, which will bring me now to my next interview. We have Mike Macharia. He is the CEO of Kenya Association of Hotel Keepers. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mike Macharia.
Thank you, Cynthia. It's good to be here.
It's good to see you. You need to tell us the secrets, because I haven't seen you for almost 5 years and you still look the same. And maybe it's telling me things are good in the hospitality industry.
I always say it's the wife at home. She's the
one mitigating the crisis.
Yes.
Well, this year has been said, actually part of last year, and even as we are getting into 2024, has been said to be the journey for the tourism sector in Kenya to just go through a full recovery. Are we there? Are we going to see a full recovery by the time we get to 2024?
Yes, Cynthia, you recall, I think I was here a couple of years ago,
yes,
when we discussed a study that we had undertaken with the help of Kenyatta University,
yes,
the Global Resilience Center. And that study told us that we would start locally,
yeah,
then regionally, inter-county, then within East Africa, then internationally.
Yes.
And we had projected that we would get back to our numbers, 2019 numbers, in 2023.
Yes.
And all indications are that we will achieve that projection that we made at that time.
Yes. So
yeah.
Are you saying that by the end of this year we're going to have the same figures that we had in 2019, which was pre-COVID?
We should. If we don't, we'll be very close, because that was the recovery. And then 2024, we had projected now to start the growth.
Yes.
So over the last 3 years, we've only been discussing resilience, innovation, pushing up numbers. What else do we need? Do we need government intervention in some areas? Do we need external intervention in some areas?
Yes.
That's what we've been doing.
Yes.
And so far, so good. We are happy with what we see.
I'm curious, what has helped in the recovery?
First of all,
strategies?
Yeah, first of all, it's you know, we are very, as an industry, we are highly dependent on the macro environment.
Yes.
So it depends on how you deal with the external forces that are influencing.
Yes.
And one of those forces is government. It's actually the biggest partner.
Yes.
Our biggest partner is the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage.
Yes.
Then we have other ministries, labor, transport, environment, and so on, that come into play, including even trade and industrialization. So our biggest ally has been the government.
Yes.
And government spending has driven the industry.
Yes.
Particularly in the areas of conferencing, meetings, incentives,
yes,
attracting key meetings into Kenya, having regional meetings with the presidents.
Yes.
We have I saw on your clip you were talking about the Africa Climate Week, which is coming up next month.
Yes.
Again, very much government-driven bidding that is bringing the people here.
Yes, yes.
So that has been our biggest ally. And of course, what we ask for from government.
Yes.
Like now, you remember after COVID, we had some airlines that stopped flying into Kenya.
Yes.
And we've been in discussion with government, bring them back.
Yes.
You saw on the 5th of August, we had a new airline coming in from India,
yes,
Indigo. We have Turkish that is pending a license into Mombasa.
Yes.
We've got Qatar back into Mombasa. And now we have Ethiopian Airlines. So as we build air access into Kenya, we also build the numbers. And at the same time, count on Kenya Airways, because Kenya Airways is what has created this hub in Nairobi.
Yes. Yeah. Also, one of the things that we saw after COVID was that there was now a lot of attention now to the local market and trying to talk about, tourism from the locals.
Yes.
But now I just read a story where Kenyans are saying that they're feeling the pinch of the shilling. The economy is not doing so well.
Yes.
How has that affected tourism?
COVID, as we said, everything has a silver lining, every cloud. And COVID, the best thing to happen in the pandemic era was actually to jumpstart the domestic tourism.
Yes.
We had been talking about domestic tourism since 2008.
That's
we had a
true.
strategy.
Yes.
We had tried to push numbers, do promos and everything. I think COVID was just what made us cross that line. And people realized that, hey, we have a country here that we've never even visited, so we need to go through. With the recession coming into play, obviously then people have less money to spend, but we are not seeing a very big impact in the spending patterns of domestic holiday makers and domestic business people. They may reduce by a night or so, but the numbers are increasing. So we are not really seeing that reflected on the holiday making. Which is a good
so Kenyans are complaining, but they're spending and having a good time, because even when we had the Safari Rally live, and we could see there were big crowds. People were spending the weekend in Naivasha and Nakuru and touring. There was traffic, so Kenyans are complaining but still spending.
You still have to balance between work and relaxation. And what we are seeing is that because we are now living in the information age, we have too many problems. We have mental health issues. So you find that that break is actually no longer a luxury. It is actually required. And I think that's what's driving most of this.
And what about the international market? Every time we talk about tourism, we always have to talk about the international market. Are the numbers now going up since 2019, and by how many?
2019 we had about 1.4 million international arrivals. Last year we had 600,000. So what it was telling us is that we still needed to do more. And for us to do more, we needed to provide air access because the international market is heavily dependent on airlines. So we needed to provide more air access, speak to charters coming into Mombasa, speak to the scheduled flights into Nairobi to increase, and also speak to the scheduled flights into Mombasa. And I had mentioned earlier about Qatar, Turkish, which is a very key player, because it picks up passengers from Eastern Europe, where routes that are not non-traditional for our home airline, Kenya Airways. So we've seen a few of them coming back. So it's encouraging. So it means that the international market will also pick up. We also have two major events coming in November that are marketing events for Nairobi. We have the EAC Summit, and we also have the Magical Kenya Trade Show. So we'll keep pushing.
So that number is going to go beyond 1.4.
We may not get to 1.4 this year, but we will get there in 2024. And we are looking at, if you remember, our vision for the country was to have 5 million tourists by 2020. We are 4 years late. So even if you took out the COVID pandemic, we still have a lot of work to do to hit that 5 million target that we are looking at.
One of the things that our president, William Ruto, has been talking about, his biggest agenda is trade, and especially intertrade in Africa. And yesterday he was speaking about going to different parts of Africa, trying to bring all the blocks together from the EAC and all the other blocks, which will open us up to a market of 720 million people. What does that mean for your sector, and how are you positioning yourself to take advantage of that market when it opens up?
The president is right. Africa is a huge market. 720 million is big.
Yes.
Even if you took just 10% of that, you're talking 72 million.
Yes.
It is a lot. 1% of that is 7.2 million, and we are struggling at 1%. So even if you just took 1% as market share for Kenya, it would make a big difference.
Yes.
Now, what are we doing? We, on our side, we've been discussing how to be ready.
Yes.
Are we ready for this number of tourists? Like now, we have an expressway between here and Jomo Kenyatta Airport.
Yes.
It's so much easier to get into the city center. It takes you 10 minutes at most.
Yes.
So are we ready for this number of tourists?
Yeah. Do we have the infrastructure?
Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the capacity?
The hotel, yes.
Now, if you look at the number of hotels that have opened over the last 10 years, we're talking about 50 or 60 within Nairobi alone.
Yes.
So you can see it's driving investment. So we are getting ready. Do we, as a destination, as Nairobi, are we export ready? Yeah, can we export Nairobi? That is bringing people here.
Yes, yes.
And these are some of the issues that we'll be discussing. We have a meeting with the CS Tourism tomorrow, and her team. And these are the issues we'll be discussing. Then, once you're in Nairobi, it is so much easier to get to other places. You can get to Mara in 40 minutes. You can get to Samburu in an hour or two. You can get to Mombasa in 45 minutes. Malindi, Kisumu. You can even go down from Kisumu into the southern part of Nyanza or outside west to Mumias and Kakamega. So it's very easy. And if you look at what we've done as a country in terms of infrastructure development, we are ready.
Yes, and in terms of also partnership with also other countries, so that even when guests are in South Africa, they find it easier to just after that come straight to Kenya or vice versa. Are there such talks also ongoing? In
2016, we launched the single visa for Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda. By the end of the year, we had picked up $10 million on that visa without marketing it, without nothing. So what does it tell you? It tells you that there is a lot of potential when you cooperate. When we launched it, the following year, 2017, Nigeria and Ghana launched one of their own, and they're not even geographically next to each other. There's a big space between them. So these deals that you're seeing the president going for, Mozambique, South Africa, Sudan, they may appear far-fetched, but they're the ones that will actually bring in the numbers from within Africa.
And for us to go beyond the 1.4 million that we saw in 2009. You've mentioned about partnership with the government as one of the main drivers, and a meeting that you're going to have with the CS tomorrow. One of the agendas I know that is going to be discussed with the stakeholders is the African Climate Conference. What are you hoping to hear from the government in tomorrow's stakeholders meeting?
Actually, this is the CS's meeting. She's the one who's called for it. So we must give kudos to her for reaching out to the industry. We've had several engagements with her since she became the CS Tourism, and we are quite happy with the direction that the ministry is taking. So it's her meeting, it's her agenda.
But the expectations, to push your agendas.
The expectations will be preparedness for the upcoming summit. Obviously, Nairobi will be a key discussion point. I do hope that we can have the governor of Nairobi with us, because we want to make Nairobi the old Nairobi that it was in terms of visitation, not just a one-night stop and people are going out. Then, of course, we'll have general industry issues that we will discuss. You've seen that everybody is going for an increase. The Kenya Wildlife Service today announced that it intends to increase fees in some of the parks. We've got increases in electricity and fuel. What is the impact on this? Are we taking ourselves out of the competition in terms of within the region? How can we stay competitive? And how can we be the leader that we were even from before? So we'll discuss a few of the challenges that we have here and there. But in general, we are quite happy with what the ministry is doing, and we hope that with the continued cooperation, then we'll get the numbers up.
We'll definitely cover that meeting. As you've seen here in KBC, we are very interested in the hospitality industry and to boost the industry. We hope eventually by 2024 we'll have seen the numbers go beyond even the 1.4 million.
It's very easy to get to pick 1 million tourists from Africa. Especially with this initiative by the president of a visa-free Africa. We have seen it working in Europe. We had it before in Africa. So we are one people. It's easy to visit each other. We don't need, even when there's travel advice, an African will still travel to Africa. So it's easy to pick up a huge number of visitors from Africa and then go out to the international market and bring in the rest.
That's a positive outlook. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Macharia.
Thanks, Cynthia, for having me.
Time. Remember, take time to tour your country. As he said, it's good to always take a break. We want to push those numbers beyond just 1.4 million, and that is going to reflect on our economy as it grows.